The Babylon Bee Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Babylon Bee Podcast. I am Dan Coates, the producer of the Babylon Bee Podcast. With me as always is Brandon Toy. He is one of the directors of
January 6th, the most deadliest day.
That's right. Yeah. So if you guys haven't heard, we have a new movie out. It's called
January 6th, the most deadliest day.
And you can watch it right now if you're a premium subscriber to the Babylon Bee, and I highly suggest you do that. Become a subscriber if you're not one already.
And Travis is here.
Oh, yeah, I just got here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I hope it's okay that I'm sitting here.
Yeah, January 6th, the most deadliest day, is out today. This is the big day.
It is.
And you can go see it right now. So why are you watching the podcast when you can go see the movie?
We've been working tirelessly on this movie. We've all put in at least 20 minutes per week on it. And I think it's really paid off. Yeah.
And you know what? If maybe you're still a basic subscriber and that's why you're watching us instead of the movie. But we have a little bit of time to convince you to upgrade your membership right now and watch the movie right after.
Yeah, so go to babylonbee.com/January 6th. Make sure you use promo code podcast. That's how you get a nice juicy discount and you can watch it and spend less money. So that's always good.
And you know what? Today is not just a normal podcast. It's a special January 6th podcast because of the movie that's out now. So, hey, let's kick things off with the trailer.
It's been over 3 years. Our democracy, it died that day. But the Babylon Bee put together a team. A team that would avenge our democracy. To help us never forget to. Remember.
Jewish space laser! Dodge! Phantom zone!
Quick follow-up question. Why are you evil? Shame!
I love Trump.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Did Trump supporters break this potted plant?
You just did that.
January 6th, the most deadliest day. Streaming exclusively on babylonbee.com.
Wow, that was a great trailer.
Oh, wow. I feel so insurrected right now.
My heart is so full of insurrection.
So like Travis said, it's a special podcast today. We're talking about the movie that released today. First things first, let's get into...
Let me ask you a question. Do you think our country is going in the right direction? Or does it feel like everything's falling apart? If you're feeling alarmed, you're not alone. In fact, Americans from all walks of life have taken action to prepare for whatever's coming next. And that starts with having an emergency food supply. Storing food in your home is the right thing to do, because we're living in crazy times, which explains why so many people are preparing. Right now, you can get ready too with a 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. It comes with delicious foods like creamy stroganoff, honey wheat bread, and mushroom rice pilaf. The entire kit offers over 2,000 calories every day. This food kit lasts up to 25 years. Who knows what our country will look like then? It might look like the Planet of the Apes. But when that day comes, you'll be ready. Go to preparewithbee.com now to order your 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. Go to preparewithbee.com and fight those darn dirty apes.
You used to be good.
Adam Ford.
Adam Ford.
I really miss Adam Ford.
We already have hate from us making a movie at all. So, Travis, do you want to get into the movie?
So this is like hate mail deluxe, specifically about the movie. So people posting about the movie on Reddit, it looks like.
It looks like somebody put the trailer on Reddit.
Yep.
And said, hey guys, this movie's coming out.
And then the post was removed. Sorry, this post has been removed by the moderators of r/movies. And the first comment is from some guy named The Aquaman. Weird to see conservatives making fun of an event in which protesters killed a cop.
It's weird to see highly intelligent Reddit posters assuming that protesters killed a cop just because the news media told them that.
Yeah. It also did not happen. Fact check. That's a real-time fact check. That's what we call it.
Penguin Deluxe wrote, someone who frequents our conservative downplaying an attempted coup? Who would have thunk it? Why are we doing that? Why are we downplaying a coup?
Because it wasn't a coup.
It was so close. The coup was so close. It was so well planned.
If anything, it was like the kind of coup that a 10-year-old would come up with. Because like, I sat in the chair. I'm in charge now. I took the Capitol. I'm in charge.
He was.
But it doesn't work that way.
It does. It kind of does.
Oh, they asked him to leave and he left. So heroic.
From this other Reddit user, what's with the current trend of conservative pundits thinking they're Sacha Baron Cohen or Chris Morris, but failing miserably? Well, first off, did we fail miserably? You don't know because you didn't see that.
Boom.
But yes, we probably did.
Yeah. Who's Chris Morris?
I'm not sure.
Oh.
I know who Sacha Baron Cohen is, but I've never Baron Cohen.
He was in Les Miserables.
He was, and that's probably the only thing I've seen him in. But yeah, I'm not super familiar with his work, and it's funny because lots of times when people accuse us of ripping off some work and being derivative of that work, lots of times I don't even know who they're talking about or haven't seen.
Yeah, I think sometimes there's just overlap. There's a universal sense of humor that some people share, whether you're on the right or the left.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just overlaps.
And on the topic of failing miserably, I mean, many conservatives also say the same thing about leftist comedy like SNL right now, because it's like you're trying to tell a joke, but if it doesn't jive with your worldview, you're not going to find it funny. So I understand why people don't find us funny. It's because they're just kind of blinded to what reality is all about. So
because they're stupid.
Well,
Is that what you said?
sometimes, but oftentimes just wrong.
Yeah.
We got another Reddit comment that says the deep state has got nothing on these Q-infected zombie troll.
Turnip, snotface.
Deep state.
I don't even know. Oh, like
So they're saying
we're complaining about the deep state, but we're the ones that are.
We're the ones that are
we're
Q-infected
the-
zombie troll.
Porpoises.
that's worse than the deep state.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
And then some guy on Twitter posted a meme that we have to bleep out. Best I can do is tell you to go expletive yourself. And is that Auction Wars? I don't know.
Something like that.
Pawn Stars.
Pawn Stars, yeah. I've never seen that show.
All right.
I wonder if he got confused. He wasn't responding to our movie. He was responding to the 2022 movie Babylon, starring Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie.
I hear that's a weird movie.
I bet you that's what he's responding to, because I would have that same reaction.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about this other guy, Gorefang, on Twitter? He says, learn how to tell an expletive joke. Maybe then I'll pay attention when you try out side projects. If you can't do your main job well, it doesn't give me confidence that you won't expletive this up too.
Well, just give it a shot. You might like it, but I mean, probably not. But I mean, still give us your money. It's worth it.
I think it's weird though. The whole premise there is like, well, you can't do this. Why should I trust you with that? A fair concept in most things, but this is just.
He clearly doesn't like us.
But yeah, but also this is just entertainment we put out. It's not like, oh, why would I hire you to install my carpet and if you can't even clean it? It's not like I don't know. It's just not related. It's weird.
From Ren Powell on Twitter /X, was the movie funded by APAC? He also wrote all that.
Funny story, we tell you at the very end of the movie. So if you go to babylonb.com/January 6, you'll find out the answer to your question.
What is APAC?
The American Israel Political Action Committee or something like that. American Israeli.
Because we're Jews.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're Jew lovers around here.
Yeah, we're Zionists, the Zion Bee.
Yeah.
Zion P.
Well, it's not all bad. I mean, we're also getting positive buzz when the movie's coming out. So we got this review on worthitourwoke.com, which you should go check out. They gave us 4 stars
Out of a possible 5.
That's pretty high.
Good 5. I was thinking 10 at first.
Honestly, I'm disappointed. Why? What did we have to do to get 5 stars?
I mean, a B is good.
Oh, I think that's more like 81%. Oh, that's a rating average.
Whoa, the visuals and cinematography only got a C, Brandon.
Oh, yeah. Brandon,
You're bringing down our score.
Thanks.
It's all fun when you're not the one being insulted.
I do like the opening line or the byline of this review. It says, like the short buses of old, the Babylon Bee's January 6th, the most deadliest day, is filled with something special.
And boy, is it.
He wrote, Kyle Mann comfortably slips into the role of the mockumentary's dim-witted narrator and host, giving what fans of the Babylon Bee's past short-form videos will recognize as his signature performance, as what I assume is more or less himself. Aided by Travis Woodside's practiced beta cuck persona, the two serve dry jokes and delicious irony.
Practiced beta cuck persona.
He's not playing an alternate version of himself at all. Not even close.
But I like their woke-o-meter at the bottom, and it's like 0% woke, 100% based.
Awesome. Now that's the only rating that matters these days.
Yeah, that's so basically we got 100%.
As far as
Pretty
I'm
much,
concerned.
yeah. So,
But I mean, I kind of like, I'm a big fan of arbitrary review ratings, though. Like, is it funny? 80%. You know, I just like, why not 81%? Why not? You know, it's just, I like how granular it can get.
I think it's funny, but we also made it, so we wrote all the jokes like specifically tailored to our tastes.
Yeah.
And I've seen it like several dozen times at this point, the entire movie, and there are still parts that I like just involuntarily I have to laugh. It's usually Travis's face, but
and not for the reason that you might think.
So let's talk about our favorite moments while making this movie.
You know, it was really awesome getting our expert guests and sitting down and talking with them. Obviously, the movie is largely scripted. Much of Kyle's dialogue is heavily scripted. But whenever we sat down with these conservative pundits, lots of times we had no idea what they were going to say. And we had to formulate the movie around what they were going to say. So, I mean, a little bit of backstory about me. I've been a conservative my whole life, even before I even knew what conservative meant. After all, I was raised with basic Christian values, therefore conservative. But I only really started paying attention to politics when, like, the BLM riots started happening. Not even the BLM riots, but even the BLM protests. Just hearing those chants that they were chanting in the streets, and something in my brain was like, the things that they're saying do not seem to jive with reality. And so I started like watching conservative videos and conservative pundits who were able to articulate on their podcasts why these impassioned BLM supporters had no claim in reality. And among the pundits that I listened to were Dennis Prager and Michael Knowles, both of whom are featured in our documentary. And I don't inherently always agree with the Jew or the Catholic on matters social, theological, or political. But even through hearing their different viewpoints, I've been able to hone my own personal thinking and improve my positions. It was really an honor to get to meet these guys who have in some way shaped my own way of thinking. Mm-hmm. And it was even more of an honor to be able to stand behind the camera and direct them into uttering juvenile one-liners. So that was awesome.
I liked going to the sand dunes.
Nice.
Yeah, I like the idea of like meeting your conservative heroes. You're like, oh man, Dennis Prager, oh Michael Knowles, I've listened to you for like hundreds of hours, and you're like, can you say poop or like whatever it was?
I wouldn't go that far, Dan. I wouldn't go that far.
But you're just making you're putting words in their mouth, and you can make them say anything. Like it's just
we made them say some really fairly ridiculous things. I think you guys will enjoy it, and kind of getting to see the lighter side of these very generally serious people. Another thing that was really cool was talking to people on the streets. Again, completely unplanned. We had no idea what the man on the street interviews, what they were going to say. And one interview in particular stood out to me, and every time that I watch it, it fills me with encouragement. There were these two girls on the street in Nashville that we talked to. There was one white girl and one black girl, and they were friends. And we were asking them questions like, do you think Donald Trump should be banned from the ballot? Or obviously political questions. And the white girl kept saying, yes, ban Trump, very, very much taking the liberal side. And the black girl, you could tell that she was a little bit nervous because her friend was like so
very adamant,
aggressive. And yet she said, no, like, does it help or hurt democracy? She was like, hurts, obviously. And you could tell, like, she wasn't like the MAGA type. She wasn't like, I don't care what you think, I'm just going to say it anyways. Like, you could see it in her eyes. She was weighing that there were social consequences to what she was saying, but she still decided to tell the truth, even if it was uncomfortable. Yeah. And that was that was encouraging to me. It was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, it might have cost her some standing with her friend who's there.
Or even the fact that she was talking to a camera and she had no idea where that was going to go.
Yeah.
As far as she knew, we were going to post it and say, look at this idiot conservative girl. And she might not have even been conservative. She might have just had a little bit of sense. Like, we have no idea. But yeah, she was awesome. Willing to speak the truth in light of almost guaranteed social consequences.
I didn't get to participate in the man on the street stuff, unfortunately, because I think that is very interesting. Mm-hmm. But, you know, some of the stuff at the Republican Women's Conference, some of which didn't make it into the final cut, talking to them was very interesting too. And it was an interesting experience to see people who, they might occasionally play it up for the camera and ham it up, but then you just sort of talk to them and they're just normal people, you know, and they have opinions and they go, you know what, I see what Trump's doing and I'm okay with it. And it's interesting it's good to see all these different opinions from real people. Even though we're not journalists, I feel like we've done more journalisming than the journalists have done recently.
And by probably, I mean definitively.
Yeah.
The media is entirely negligent in their duties.
They don't go out and hit the streets anymore, unless it's the weatherman on Channel 5 that they put on a curb.
Or the 60 Minutes dude with the Kamala interview.
That guy.
He actually did a good job.
Something would have.
I mean, I think Shapiro or someone said something along the lines of, well, I mean, I'm not going to give them too much credit for actually doing their job, but it was refreshing to see.
I mean, that's fair, but yeah, it is very nice to see. Bill Whitaker on 60 Minutes. Yeah, he did a fantastic job. It was great.
Did you say that your favorite part of filming this movie was seeing the sand dunes?
Yes, because I like sand.
I don't like sand.
I love it.
It's coarse and rough and gets everywhere.
That's why I like it. It gets everywhere. I'd never been to sand dunes. I've always wanted to, you know, ever since, you know, you see Star Wars, I'm like, wow, it's amazing. And, you know, I get it on some sort of logical level. You go, do I really want to drive 4 hours out to wherever the sand dunes are? Like Death Valley's got sand dunes, and you know, they're not actually as big as in Star Wars necessarily, and it's just sand. But you know what? I could just sit and stare at those all day. I think they're beautiful. I love desert landscapes for some dumb reason. And
so dumb. Appreciating the beauty of creation. What an idiot.
So dumb. I know. I know. I loved it. It was a neat experience for me. And I like how it was kind of a spur of the moment. Hey, you know, we're kind of near here. Let's go just do this shot. And we didn't know for sure if it was going to be in the movie. And it's only about 30 seconds, if that. Absolutely worth it.
I'm glad.
You know what I think of when I think of January 6th?
Sand
dunes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So my question for you guys is, why did we do a January 6th movie and not any other idea we had? Like, what was it about January 6th that we felt like we needed to make this movie?
Well, the major catalyst was definitely our good friend Siaka being arrested. Unlike January 6th, I remember where I was when I heard the news that Siaka was arrested. We were all our minds were blown that this was actually the happening.
This is a guy that we personally know, and we've hung out.
He's been in our sketches.
I'm sure all the viewers know, but like, he's the Californians moved to Texas. He plays Steve. He's a good friend of ours. One of the nicest, most friendly, outgoing, personable people you will ever meet.
Yeah, he slapped my butt in that dad sketch like 7 times. Without asking.
That's not really making his case, but he's one of the nicest
I'm just saying,
guys.
I know him pretty intimately.
You know him better than all of us.
And so we were talking to Siaka and trying to figure out what we could do to shed some light on the situation. And obviously we did that podcast interview. I think that was back in January. And one of the other ideas that we were throwing around was filming a satirical documentary around the events of January 6th. And once that concept came into play, Kyle just lit up. Like, he dropped everything else that we were doing and he was solely focused on making this doc. We had other things that we had to do, like we had to approve shorts, and he was just off in his office. Quite frankly, it made things quite difficult. I mean, we had to edit these videos, we had to put out content, and we had to write a book. And he was just yelling at everyone. He was slapping people in the face. Like if you just approached him at the wrong time, he would like turn towards you, and you would look like the Bilbo Baggins puppet demon creature. He would like lash out at the open air with his teeth, like just violently chomping into the air. Travis almost lost a finger.
I almost lost a finger.
It wasn't cool. But I mean, at the end of the day, we got a product. So, I mean, I guess it was worth it.
Yeah. And hey, don't ever go to Kyle and say, hey, let me carry it for a while. Share the load.
Yeah.
Because he will just exile you and carry around a little. And
some of these things, some of these things we were asking were legitimate questions, like, Kyle, do you want your black shoes or brown shoes polished for this event? And he would just like kick us. So like it's I shouldn't complain. He is our overlord and father.
So the movie was his precious.
Precious, yes. It's a good question, I think, why this project. And it's weird for me to answer it, though, because I didn't come up with the idea for the movie. I'm not in charge here. I when I heard the idea...
Contrary to what Eric Metaxas thinks.
Contrary to what Eric Metaxas thinks.
Are you saying that you did this movie against your will?
Well, not fully against my will. But, when the idea was presented to me, I was like, hey, that's a great idea. That is such a good idea. We should roll on that now. But, no one cared because I'm Travis. So I was just following along, but it was a good idea, and it was timely, with the election coming up and January 6th still being propped up by the Democrats in the news cycle, every so often as a reason that Trump can't run for office. He was January 6th. And, conservatives from the beginning were kind of quick to realize that the left was using it, to make excuses.
Yeah.
And infringe on people's rights. But beyond understanding that, they kind of, within our own circles, we're just like, well, let's just move on and not talk about it. So people aren't talking about it that much in a very clear and objective light. And so I thought it was worth us actually shining a spotlight on the absurdity that rose up out of the whole thing.
I mean, another thing, like, kind of responding to the Reddit commenters who haven't seen the movie so don't actually know what it's about. We're not running cover for the people that behaved poorly on January 6th. We're not excusing breaking windows and being raucous and physically intimidating. We're not supporting that in any way. What we are doing is supporting our friends who did nothing wrong. Yeah. And there are so many of them. There are so many people that did absolutely nothing wrong and are being raided by the FBI and arrested.
Yeah, and you know what? You can make the argument that, hey, they were there, that was unwise, but you know what? People make mistakes, and you know what? Honestly, you can take tours of the Capitol. If I was there, I probably would have not thought it was a crime to stand in a doorway because you're just standing there. The things that has happened to Siaka, Adam Johnson,
especially in contrast with the way that the media and law enforcement has handled the George Floyd riots.
Yeah, the summer of love.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the hypocrisy is staggering.
But that's par for the course.
Yeah,
for the left.
Hey guys, if you listen to the podcast, you know that I'm a nerd. And you know that as a nerd, I like to play board games. I've got hundreds of board games. Monopoly. Actually, I don't own Monopoly. I only own good games. And I'm here to tell you about a good one. Deliverance. Deliverance is the highest rated Christian board game ever made. You're like, Christian board game? What? Is this like some Bible trivia thing where you're quizzing people on who was David's fourth generation nephew that was attacked by the Philistines in 1400 BC? No. This is good and fun. The whole thing is that you and 4 friends are going to take on the role of an elite angel in heaven's army, and you vanquish demons in tactical combat while delivering saints from oppression. It's a Christian game, unashamedly Christian, but it's fun, tactical combat, and it's not preachy. And guess what? It's actually a real challenge. You think it's going to be easy just because it's some Christian game and you're playing as the good guys? Think again. It's an interesting game, great mechanics, it's innovative, and it comes without all the problems of getting people to play without having to force them to play. They're actually going to want to play. Spiritual warfare is a serious topic, and Deliverance takes it seriously and does well to respect the lore of the Bible. The game is really fun, and it's actually a pretty cool conversation starter. There's like some scripture references on the cards as you're playing, and it's a good time. If you're a board gamer or want to get a truly unique gift for that gamer in your life, click the link in the show notes or visit Kickstarter and look up Deliverance, the board game. Don't get Deliverance, the movie. Not the same thing. Definitely not Christian. You want the board game. Pre-order or back Deliverance on Kickstarter and get up to $90 off on retail prices today. You're not going to regret it. I personally endorse it. They didn't even have to pay me, but they did. But they didn't have to. They could have saved a lot of money by just saying, hey, Kyle, will you endorse this? I would have said, sure. It's a great game. It's fun. But they're fools.
Yeah, kind of going back to what you were saying, Travis, about how this J6 event has been a huge talking point for Democrats for like the last 5 years or 4 years. Or when did it happen?
It happened 30 years ago, Dan.
It happened 30 years ago. It's been 84 years.
Yeah. Right.
So, but ever since it happened, it's been this huge talking point where I think Joe Biden even launched his presidential campaign and said, this is why I'm running.
Yeah, he did.
J6, January 6th, the MAGA extremists, the MAGA Republicans, their threat to democracy. And so like, I think this movie is a great idea because it attacks that central premise of Republicans are evil Nazi fascists that want to overthrow the government. And it's so absurd on its face that I think by using humor, we can kind of get in under the door and show how ridiculous that argument is.
Yeah.
To Joe Biden's credit, he probably did not even know what he was saying at the time.
He might not even know where he is right now.
It's very possible. Going back to talking to people on the street, just random people, there are people that legitimately believe that Trump tried to overthrow the government.
Yeah.
That's like verbatim what one person said. And it's like the mainstream media, the legacy media has done such a good job at brainwashing masses of people that this is just a little bit of pushback to that.
We've now made a full-length feature film. What was the biggest challenge of making a full-length feature film for you guys? Because before this, we've only done 3-minute sketches, 5-minute sketches.
So honestly, it wasn't that much different except for the fact that it took a lot longer. We were problem solving along the way, and with the documentary format, you have a few more like little bits of forgiveness as far as technical aspects of the product versus a short film where we're trying to make it look appeal to a certain aesthetic. But with this one, there's a little bit of forgiveness. Like if the audio is not perfect, a lot of it's real. Like we're just holding a mic on the street. So there's a little bit of forgiveness baked into that. So not a lot of huge technical challenges, but a lot of memorable moments. And one of probably the most challenging scene, and it's again, not even a challenge, but those shots of Travis in the desert, like those weren't in the script. And we were actually traveling on our way to go see Buffalo Guy. And in an undisclosed location. And I remembered that there were these sand dunes that were ostensibly on the way.
Yeah.
And I was like asking the guys if they were okay with us making a little detour, and I didn't want to inconvenience everyone else. So we left it up in the air, and we shot with Buffalo Dude and Buffalo Guy, I should say, his proper given name.
Yes, right.
And it was like, how hot was it? It was like 113 in the shade.
Oh, it was very hot.
And when I'm in the zone, sometimes I forget to eat or drink water. And so I was feeling really woozy after that shoot. Like I don't want to be too precious about it, but like I try not to like inconvenience people. But after the shoot, I was like, oh man, guys, I'm not feeling good.
Yeah. And so at the part where we actually meet with Buffalo Guy, there were alternate shots taken that didn't make it into the film. And we just went with what we thought worked best for the movie. But it was so hot, and I'm trying to make the best of it, and just being visibly drained.
Yeah,
and I don't think we could function very well.
So that was part of it. So I didn't want to inconvenience you guys, and it was like clear that we were all like just drained from the absolute intense heat, and I was feeling kind of sick and woozy, which doesn't happen very often. But I I chugged an electrolyte drink and ate some restorative hash brown casserole from Cracker Barrel. Rip glucose levels.
Oh man, Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
Did you do your
So
apple
good.
cider vinegar before?
I did not.
He didn't know that concept yet.
You went on the glucose roller coaster.
I went on the
my friend.
glucose roller coaster, but afterwards it was restorative because it was Cracker Barrel hash brown casserole, which is in many cultures considered a miracle cure for all types of ailments.
It's actually a health food in some
is.
cultures.
Yeah.
But anyways, that restored my energy and I felt good enough. And I was like, guys, we're doing it. I don't care what you think. Everyone was complaining. They were like, no, let's just go home. And I was like, no, we're going to get this. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. Everyone was a good sport about it. And those shots ended up being some of my favorite in the movie. And getting there also, we had a very close call run-in with a street fight between two hobos.
Oh, that's right, we did.
But that's a story for another time. We don't need to bother them with that. I'm sure they don't want to hear about that.
Yeah. You know, I just came in and found a lightsaber. Where'd you get this? It's a story for another time. Okay, I'll just never ask again, though. So as far as challenges go, I mean, obviously I have a different perspective because
he's special.
Because I'm special. Because I didn't, write the movie. I didn't direct the movie. I play a role in it. And, I would help out wherever I could in the production, but I wasn't really, a leader in the project.
A leading leader.
The leading leader. I was only the assistant leader. But what I can say that we learned, I think, together was how much planning we should actually put into a project like this in the future. And now I don't begrudge anyone in charge of the project because the nature of it, and we thought of it and then we're like, oh gosh, we don't have time to work on it. We have to do it now because it coming out before the election made the most sense. And, we just moved on it. So we didn't have the time to really do anything but fast track it. But in the future, I think we all can value the benefit of extra planning, sitting down, everyone being on the same page, just spending time working on it.
And the friendships we made along the way.
Which
I'm actually not kidding. Like, Lectern guy, super nice dude.
Super nice dude.
We love that guy.
So what you're saying is we should have planned this movie like 2 years ago.
I mean, ideally, but who could have thought about it?
There's just a lot of moving pieces, a lot of lining up interviews, setting up locations, travel, and it's just all in a whirlwind.
Oh yeah, I think everyone involved, worked like crazy.
Yeah.
It was, basically crunch time.
Yeah, down to our editors, our unit production leader, just everybody putting in extra work, extra hours.
Yeah.
We have an incredibly small team.
Yeah.
For everyone that thinks we have a massive budget and hordes of minions, we have a very, very, very small team.
Yeah.
Like our entire production team is probably smaller than Daily Wire's security staff.
Yeah, they probably have pretty good security.
They do. I've seen it.
Oh, okay. Wow. So one thing I can speak to though, as a movie star, is going to the Republican Club and interacting with all the people there. And that there was a challenge there because like the man on the street bits, though this was different, you don't know what everyone's going to say. You're just going there trying to get as much as you can. But also that whole day was a whirlwind, like where I had the vaguest idea what you and Kyle were going for. And I was like, I'll just do my best, but
well, we
were all thinking of stuff on the spot,
and we kind of wanted it to be organic and to respond to what other people were doing. So it had nothing to do with the fact that we didn't put in the hours to plan out the scene.
Yeah. So it was difficult though, to that end, because you're there and you're like, I'm not sure this is turning out well.
Yep.
Trusting the edit, and I think the edit worked beautifully. Really made me look professional.
I remember Kyle coming away from that day just dying with laughter and saying this is the best thing we've ever shot. And we had a lot of moments like that where it's like after a shoot day, we were like, we just got the best content we got for this movie just today. And that just kept happening over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was awesome.
So we talked about the challenges. Did you guys have any lessons that you took away from this movie project?
Yeah, well, one of the fun things that I found while I was editing the movie was there's a lot of unintentional symbolism. And I say unintentional because we're not smart enough to write the symbolism ourselves.
That's true.
Throughout the movie, like Kyle's character Garth is seen narrating to camera in a multi-camera studio setting, and we have this dumb bit where he's looking at one camera and then he turns his head as if to talk to another camera, but instead of talking, he just kind of awkwardly turns back to the first camera and starts talking again. It's a super, super dumb bit that's just in line with our primitive-minded conservative comedy. You know, a reserve long tap since our 2 jokes have long expired. But I like to imagine that Garth, in the world that Garth lives in that world, he was in the studio. This journalist was in a studio, and he sees a second camera tally light go off. And so he obediently just turns his gaze and looks where he's directed to look. And then, defying any logical explanation, the first camera light turns back on. And so he faithfully turns back and looks at and continues to read from the teleprompter scrolling in front of him. So Garth, he considers himself a journalist, but he fails to provide anything that resembles journalism. And that's kind of the story of the American media. He just looks where the camera tells him to look, and he says what the teleprompter tells him to say.
Yeah. Everyone except for Bill Whitaker on 60 Minutes. He would know what
he's the only
camera
one
to talk to. The only one. But yeah, that's true. I like you bringing up that aspect of unintentional symbolism.
And there's several moments like that throughout the film where I was like, did we think of this subconsciously? Like, was this subconscious? And a lot of the times the answer is we were just trying to tell a dumb joke. But sometimes dumb jokes can actually unintentionally speak deeper truths.
Yeah.
But we're not that deep. So
anytime it appears deep, it's usually an accident. But if you ask us, we're going, oh yeah, I intended that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So is the goal of us making this movie just to make people laugh? Or do you think do we have any ulterior motives? Are we trying to swing voters to Trump, or are we just trying to change minds about January 6th? Like, I feel like a lot of conservative projects are all about, we got to make people believe the right things.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's what we're doing, or?
Well, I think in a sense, yes. But Thomas Sowell says it's usually futile to try to talk facts and analysis to people who are enjoying a sense of moral superiority in their ignorance. And lots of times that's what conservative pundits end up doing. Like, we can recite all the data in the world, expose every lie told by the media, and many people do it very well. Charlie Kirk does it extremely well. Shapiro does it very well. But to those without ears to hear, the truth just doesn't matter. It just doesn't. And so this documentary not only sheds light on underreported truth, but hopefully it packages it in a much more digestible medium than a 500-page book on the socioeconomic trends in global migration. But I mean, that book also sounds like a lot of fun. So maybe take everything I say with a grain of salt. Yeah.
I just want to win an Oscar.
That's why you made the movie?
That's why I made the movie.
Travis, you've already won the Oscars of our hearts.
Hey, that's the most important Oscar. And you know what? If I don't win the Oscars next year, that's just more Oscars in heaven. That's how it works.
There is scripture to back that up. Do not store your Oscars on the earth.
Just store them in heaven.
So we did have some questions from people that might want to see the movie, but they're a little confused on how to. And we've been trying to promote. You got to go to babylonb.com/January 6th, and here's what you do. But this guy had one last question before he decided to do that. He said, "Does it have full frontal? I might watch if it has full frontal."
Gross.
I was about to say the exact same thing. Gross.
It does not have full frontal, but it does have a scene where Kyle Mann is in heart boxers. So
gross.
So if that makes you more inclined to go see it, go to babylonb.com/January 6th.
Become a premium subscriber today. If you're a basic subscriber, you will not have access to the movie.
Yeah, basic.
And also, if you're basic, all the premium subscribers will laugh at you behind your back and make fun of the shoes that you saved up 5 months to buy. And by the time you finally got them, basically nobody was wearing them anymore. So premium subscription. Get it.
And use promo code podcast. You save some money.
Yeah.
And prove to us that you listen to the podcast. Prove to Seth.
If you use promo code Travis Oscars, your price actually goes up.
Yeah, so don't use that one. Well, no.
And if you're having a watch party at home, you got your friends, and you got your popcorn, let us know in the comments. Just snap a picture or whatever you can do. Or
what's your favorite insurrection snack?
Red Vines.
I'm asking them.
Oh. Yeah, tell us in the comments below. What's your favorite insurrection snack? Okay, we're going to go into the subscriber lounge.
What are we doing in the subscriber lounge?
We're going to play some deleted scenes from the movie that didn't make it into the actual movie.
Wow.
And we had a premium article on the website asking our subscribers, what's your favorite conservative movies? What is a conservative movie? And we had some cool reactions to that. So we're going to talk about that too.
Cool.
So
mine's Extreme Days.
Jewish space laser. Dodge! Phantom zone!